Welcome back to Metals, Money, and Markets. We are at February 8th. For MiningClips, Rob Goodman, and as always, Mickey Fulp, the Mercenary Geologist, will run us through this. Okay, Mickey, big up $1, gold off. Let's start there in the metals.
Dollar was up for a 7-week high. Gold, of course, went down on that, but not that much. Closed at 13.14, down $4 on a week. Silver down 8 cents, 0.5% to 15.80. Platinum, once again, a loser. It's back below 800, closed at 798 for a 3% loss. Meanwhile, palladium, which is an industrial metal, we've talked about that before, once again set an all-time high at 1386, up over 3.5% on the week.
And copper moving nicely here, up almost 2%.
Had a bit of a down day today, although like most of the markets rallied at the close. Closed at 281 for a 2% gain, but it was up to 283 yesterday. Stronger on U.S.-China trade talks, some hope there. It is in contango all the way out with more activity on the second-month contract. Supply-demand fundamentals remain strong with very low inventories. Baltic Dry Index hit a seasonal low as expected, Chinese New Year, but more than that, it's at a 1.5-year low. That will be of some concern if it doesn't rally once Chinese come back to work in, 10 days or whatever. One thing I want to talk about this week is precious metal ratios. Platinum to gold, all-time record low since we started tracking it in 1971 when Nixon freed up gold at 0.61. Meanwhile, the platinum to palladium ratio is only a couple of points off its all-time low at 0.58. If this trend continues, it will set an all-time low sometime in the next few weeks.
And shifting gears into energy, oil got pretty beat up this week.
It did. It was down 250 on the week, closed at 52.73 for a 4.5% loss. There were lots of things going on this week that drove copper price down. Rigs up 4, production flat, 11.9 million barrels a day. Stocks were up 1.5 million barrels a day. It appears the OPEC cuts have put a floor on oil prices, but hasn't really caused a rise in oil prices. Some of the macro weighing on oil price, weakening global economy, especially China and the Eurozone, trade dispute ongoing, that's weakened it. And then the wild card in it all is Venezuela. It's got sitting offshore in Venezuela right now is a week of production in offshore in tankers with nowhere to go. Who knows how that's going to play out? Maduro will be gone at some point, I'm convinced. Came out yesterday, the SOB sold 40% of Venezuela's gold reserves last year to prop up his government.
And meanwhile, uranium here off a nickel.
Yeah, it's basically flat at plus or minus $29, closed at 28.90.
And top story, U.S. dollar surges. Euro, loonie, take your pick. They both got beat up against it, of course.
Dollar, as we mentioned, 7-week high, stronger on a weak euro. Dollar was up to 96.64, up over 1% on the week. Euro lost more than percent, closed at 113.3 on a slowing German economy. Thought now that European stimulus, which they've been unable to win themselves from for over 10 years now, will continue through the first of the year. Brexit weighed in on that too. Meanwhile, the loonie, weak Canadian economy, was down 1.3%, closed at 75.41. Channeling my best James Carville, it's the economy, stupid.
And wrapping up with these equity markets, relatively flat across the board here.
Well, we were well on our way to 3 days down on all the major U.S. markets before we had a big rally at the close and turned everything positive for the week. Quite a surprise. But, U.S. stocks got overbought over the last, since the first, well, really since Christmas. Rose too high, too fast. But once again, we finished in the black. Dow 25,106, up 0.2%. S&P 500 2708, up 0.1%. Nasdaq up 0.5% to 7298. Volatility was low from 15 to 17 over the week. U.S. stocks look really overbought, but they just keep rallying. So we'll go with that.
And meanwhile, here the Toronto Venture Exchange takes a step back here after a couple of up weeks.
The gambling part of anybody's portfolio, Toronto Venture Exchange, ended off with a loss of 11 points on a week, closed at 612 for a 2% loss. But let's put that in perspective. It was up 4.5% over the last couple of weeks. So looks to me like, once again, it got a bit of it ahead of itself. We're looking at strongest volumes since October, so it's all good there. We expect it to continue to rise a bit till PDAC.
Okay, Mickey, appreciate that insight, and we'll check back with you next week.
All right, thanks a lot, Rob.